All right. Hello. Welcome to Oils and Emotions. 7 minutes late, better late than never. This is a great way to learn how to manage frustration. Frustration is an emotion that we experience regularly. So I'm going to reapply some valor, regain some courage because tech is not my friend tonight, but that's okay. We're going to modify. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip back and forth my camera between my screen and my phone so you can see my face, see my screen. It might get a little crazy. I have some notes here I'm going to be reading off of while I try and talk to you and watch the comments. So as you are popping on here, please say hello to me in the comments. Give me a little wave. Give me a little thumbs up. Let me know that you can hear me. And we're going to just move on with this class because emotions are important, they are heavy, and they can totally weigh us down. And learning how to manage those emotions is, I believe, lifelong. It is a lifelong journey. And so we know that emotions can be difficult and they can be scary, and we know that it can be a lot easier to suppress our emotions rather than learn how to recognize them, feel them, and process them. But the ability to learn to do that will help you function in a more positive and successful state so that you can live free and create a life that you want, create a life that you enjoy, that you are happy with. And this is really hitting home for me tonight, this class. I scheduled this class at the beginning of May, actually at the end of April, when I was planning my stuff for May. And little did I know that May was going to take me on an emotional roller coaster. So much so that I've started counseling 2 weeks now. I advocate it for anybody because we cannot process these emotions and we cannot process these feelings by ourselves. Sometimes we need help. There is 100% no shame in seeking help. And I am so incredibly thankful that I also have tools by way of essential oils that help me to navigate this journey because, friend, life is not easy. But I want you to hear me. I want you to know that you are not alone. So I hope that you gain something from this class that you can take with you. So I will be posting, and I'm kind of glad that I'm doing it here in our private group because it can be very vulnerable, it can be very raw, and obviously it can get very emotional. So we're going to talk about some emotions, and we're specifically going to talk about how oils can help with the processing of those emotions. So I know that vulnerability is hard sometimes, but also putting things out there in a safe space can be freeing. So if you have emotions that you know that you are hanging on to, 2 or 3 emotions that you might be looking to release, and you are willing to drop those in the comments below, please do so. Because sometimes even just putting them out there is freeing. Okay? So, here's where I said I'm gonna get a little bit corny. Welcome to Oils and Emotions. All right, so we are gonna talk a little bit about the science, and I'm probably not gonna keep doing this, but I have such pretty slides. I wanted you to be able to see them. We're gonna talk a little bit about the science behind our emotions because we have to mention the limbic system when we're talking about emotions. The limbic system is a system of nerves and networks in your brain that controls your basic emotions and your drives. It's essentially the emotional brain. It supports 5 major functions. So it supports emotions, behavior, motivation, long-term memory, and your sense of smell. So this is why essential oils can be so effective in dealing with emotions, because your sense of smell, as I just stated, directly taps in to your limbic system, the emotional center of your brain. It is the only one of the 5 senses that has a direct connection. And the limbic system stimulates memory and emotions. So as you inhale essential oils, the tiny little molecules that float invisibly out of this bottle and up into your nasal cavity, they pass your olfactory bulb, which is part of the limbic system, and your response to aroma generates a greater it's more powerful. Like, we all know we have that sense where we smell something and sometimes it automatically triggers a memory, right? So this means that we can use our oils and the smells that they give off in the sense to recall memories. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. If those memories are bad, because we all have suffered some type of trauma in our life and we store that and we don't realize it as we move on down the road of life. We don't realize sometimes how much baggage we're actually carrying. But if those emotions are bad, you can use the oils to help release the cellular memories that the body is storing, which will allow you to process them, filter them, move them out, and move past them. You can find great healing from emotional trauma with or without oils, because I am a firm believer in Jesus, and God doesn't need our oils, but I'm so thankful that he has given us the tools that we can use in order to help process things more effectively. All right. So sometimes we come in contact with smells. You know, you walk into a house at dinner time, you smell your favorite meal. It evokes joy and happiness, and it might trigger a fond memory. You might smell a cologne, and it might be a cologne that your grandfather wore, and maybe your grandfather is no longer here, and so it triggers memories of that relationship, which can be joyful, but then it can also trigger the memories of the pain and the grief. And there are ways that we can work through those, and so that's what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight. So we're going to talk about some powerful essential oil blends. And I don't have them all right in front of me, but I do have a couple of them. So I'm going to show them to you, but we're going to talk about some blends that can help process these. Okay. I think there's 6. So the first one I want to talk about is Harmony. So Harmony essential oil, I'm going to give you a little bit of oil information, background, what it contains, and then talk about some ways we can use it. So Harmony is a blend of sacred sandalwood, lavender ylang ylang, frankincense, orange, angelica geranium, hyssop, Spanish sage, black spruce, coriander, bergamot, lemon, jasmine, Roman chamomile, palmarosa, and rose. You get so much goodness jam-packed into one of these little bottles. So this contains scents that are specifically meant to provide an uplifting aromatic experience. So when we use positive affirmations with oils, they can make their effects even more powerful. So as you connect a positive thought or a positive affirmation to a physical smell, it will establish more of an intentional experience. And so when you do that repeatedly, it will help to trigger or recall that positive experience that you're wanting to have. So that's why when we use our oils, we can back them up with some positive thinking and like mindset retraining type stuff to help bring us back into that place when you might smell rose or you might smell orange and you might remember the hint of that from the oil. So you can diffuse this. All of these oils are great in the diffuser any way you're smelling them. This helps create more of an atmosphere of peace. This is great to diffuse around kids when they're playing together. We know sometimes kids kind of get at each other, so diffusing Harmony is really great. Even diffusing it around your spouse, sometimes Harmony can kind of, you're diffusing it and it can kind of diffuse the situation sometimes. That's why oils are very subtle. You get them going and the people in your home might not even realize the benefits they're experiencing from them, but you know. All right. You don't really have to dilute this. It's not required unless you do find that you have a stronger sensitivity. This is Harmony is part of the Great Day protocol that Gary Young developed using 4 oils, and it's applied kind of right here over, it's called the solar plexus of your belly, as part of the Great Day protocol. And there is also a feelings protocol that I'll be able to share with you at the end. I'll post a link for it, or I'll post an image of it here in the group. And all of the oils that we're talking about are used in that as well. So I am one with all things, like and some of the affirmations, they don't have to be weird. So my source for everything emotional is Jesus. Like all of my everything comes from him. And so when you're saying affirmations, I know some people sometimes they can just get weird, and they don't have to be weird depending on where you're you're pulling that from, if any of that makes sense. And that could probably be another whole class on its own. But anyway, harmony is a great one to have if you find that you have a lot of conflict and you have a lot of tension. Diffusing this one and using it is fabulous. All right, the next one is forgiveness. So the word forgiveness can even trigger a lot of emotional baggage for some people. So we know that forgiveness is not always easy. At times it feels more painful than the wound that we suffered to forgive the one that inflicted it. And yet there is no peace without forgiveness. That's a quote from Marianne Williamson. So we know that in a life that is filled with relationships, that is filled with people who have differing points of view and differing opinions, there's going to be many times that we have to forgive. And sometimes it's forgiving something very small. Sometimes it's forgiving something very large. When we're bothered by the actions of other people in our past, that can trigger other emotions like anger, hate, or resentment, and just a lot of emotional pain. And we know, or maybe you don't, but forgiveness is more for you than it is for the other person. Forgiving and forgetting are not the same. We don't forget. But when you forgive, and there is an oil forgiveness, and that's one I don't have in my hand, but there is an oil called forgiveness that can help with some of these things. Forgiveness is a way that you release those negative emotions from your body so that you can begin to heal from the trauma. It does not justify anybody else's behavior. It does not excuse anybody else's behavior. But it is the only way that you will ever start healing. And it is very hard for me to walk through this class right now. I will be 100% honest with you, because a lot of the things that we're talking about are things that, since I have started counseling, have been brought to the surface from emotional trauma and suppressed feelings and all of the things. So I can tell you that I am coming from a place of teaching this to you, but also learning and actually experiencing it and walking through it myself. So we are all in this together, right? And one of the ways that you can use the forgiveness oil is when you recall those hurts and you recall those memories to your mind, take your forgiveness oil and begin to do some deep breathing exercises. And that is deep belly, diaphragmatic belly breathing. It's not just your surface, like quick breaths where you feel like you're going to hyperventilate. Like, this is breathing in through your nose and feeling the breath travel the whole way down into your diaphragm and your pelvic floor, and you feel your lungs expanding, and you are soaking in all of those oils and that scent, and you are bringing to mind. Sometimes we don't want to recall those memories, but you are bringing those memories, you are bringing those hurts to the present, to the moment, and you can feel yourself as you are breathing in that oil. You breathe out all of that hurt, all of that negativity. I know it is not as easy as it sounds, but it is very symbolic of you releasing, you exhaling, you expel all of that from you, and you let it go. You lay it down at the feet of Jesus and you let it go. And forgiveness is a blend of sesame, which is interesting, melissa, geranium, frankincense, royal Hawaiian sandalwood, coriander, angelica, lavender. I'm not going to read all of these to you. These are going to take too much time. Just know that these are powerful oil blends that were combined and put together with very specific properties in mind, with a very specific intentional purpose. So forgiveness is another blend that is great to diffuse. You can apply it topically, over your wrist, directly over your right rib cage. Now, emotions are stored in our body. I can do another whole class on the how emotions affect our physical body. But emotions are stored in specific spots. Certain emotions are stored in specific physical areas of our body. So apply your forgiveness oil over the right rib cage or the center of your right foot. You might want to get a pen and paper and take some notes on this, okay? Again, dilution is not required unless you have very sensitive skin. And you can use an affirmation like, I learn from all of life's experiences. Like, even the ones that are painful, even the ones that are hard, God can use those to mold and shape you and transform your point of view. And they can be used as stepping stones. I like to view all of the things that happen as stepping stones onto something better, because we don't have to stay there. If we can learn to release the emotions that hold us in that spot, it really enables us to move forward. So I would like to challenge you, if you know right now, and we are in this together, friend, think of someone that you might need to forgive. Okay. You don't have to say their name, but if you would feel inclined to release, again, sometimes putting it out there, even if it's just typing it in the comments of this video, I forgive you. That's all you need to put. You don't need to put a name. You don't need to put anything else. I forgive you can be a way of actually starting the process of releasing and healing for you. Okay. The next oil, which I also do not have in front of me, is Inner Child. My oils are dispersed all over the place. So this is an oil called Inner Child. This is a powerful oil blend. If you have ever found yourself questioning, who am I? And at 42 years old, in my very first counseling session, this came up. Who am I? So you may have asked yourself and felt this many different times throughout your life, maybe in your transition from a child to a teenager, or a teenager to adult, or all of those life milestones like graduating college, starting a new career, when you enter a relationship, when you figure out how you're going to make your life now intertwine with somebody else's life. And you're wondering, okay, who am I? And how do I not lose myself in all of these changes and all of these transitions? The sweet fragrance of Inner Child may encourage you to really make a connection with your authentic self. The oils that are blended in there can help stimulate a memory response, and they can help you reconnect with your own identity, which is one of the first steps to actually finding emotional balance. And this can be really hard if your past is laden with trauma, because you might be prone to allow yourself to be defined by that trauma. But the trauma is not who you are. It is something that you went through. It is something you had to deal with. It is an experience you had, but it is not who you are. And your past does not have to define you. You are not defined by your experiences. And I challenge you, if this is something that you deeply struggle with, dig into the Word of God and find out who you are in Jesus, because that is what matters the most. Who He tells you you are is 100% truth. And your experiences and Satan and your past, those will try to feed lies into your mind and tell you, well, you are this because of this, and you are this because this happened, and you are this way because of this. But that is not who you are, friend, and you do not have to be defined by that. So when you're using Inner Child, an affirmation that you can recite is, I release the past. Like, the past does not define me. Who am I now? Who am I in this moment? Who was it that I was created to be? Who did God call me to be? Who does God say I am? And that is the truth that you need to stand on. And that leads right up into the next oil blend, which is called Present Time. So the past is behind us. We learn from it. The future is ahead of us, so we can prepare for it. But the present is right now, and this is where we live. And when we allow ourselves to be consumed by trauma from our past, we are living here. And we allow ourselves to be consumed by worries of the future, we are living here. But in all actuality, this present moment, this present time is all that we have. What are you going to do with this present moment right now? And so there is an oil. Present Time is another oil in this kit. It's called the Feelings Kit. And this is great if you do meditation, or if you do mindfulness, or if you do anything like that. It's so easy. Meditation is just a practice of really turning inward and being aware of what is happening in this present moment. What are we feeling right now? And that's why it's another one, like, breathing is so important for emotional health. When we focus on our breathing, like, we can only really focus on one thing at a time. Multitasking, I am a sucker for it. I get sucked into it all the time. But you know that multitasking causes you to lose focus. you are not focusing on anything when you are multitasking, right? We can only truly focus and think on one thing at a time. And so when you get into meditation and deep breathing, you are focusing on the here and now. Who are you here and now? So maybe I'm trying to think of something like okay, coming up on Memorial Day. Like Memorial Day sometimes includes family gatherings, and sometimes family hurts us, right? And so sometimes we might be inclined to, when we get together and we see that person, we're ruminating on the past. We're thinking about all the things that they did. But what is that serving you in the present moment? That's the thought that keeps coming back, that I tend to keep asking myself, like, these feelings that I have, how are they serving me in the present moment? What are they keeping me from? Like, if I'm going to choose to stay in the past and live in the past and harbor all the negativity and the bitterness and the anger towards somebody for something that happened 3 years ago, how is that serving me today in this present moment? And what is it causing me to miss out on because I don't have the ability to let that go? That really kind of hits me hard. Like, what opportunities am I missing because I am not focusing on this present moment and I'm still living in the past? So this is another one. Great affirmation is I see clearly. Like, I see clearly in this present moment. I'm not allowing the past to cloud my vision. I'm not allowing the future to cloud my vision. I'm not allowing anything to get in the way of what is happening in this present moment. And I promise you, friends, these things are not easy. They take time, they take work, they take practice, they take patience. Okay, this is a lifelong journey. It doesn't happen overnight. Another oil, and I know I have this one here that I did not grab. I know it's up here because I just saw it. Excuse me. Okay, this is a good one. This is called Release. So I remember my first experience with Release. I didn't have much of an emotional response to it, but I was warned before I used it the first time. Somebody said the first time I used this, I could not stop crying. I cried and I cried and I cried. I'm going to put a little bit on my neck. I'm going to smell it right now. So this is a blend of, again, a multitude of oils. It has a relaxing aroma. It facilitates the ability to let go of anger and frustration, and it can help promote harmony and balance when it is diffused. It can elicit a very strong, powerful emotional response. If you have been holding on to a lot of past hurts and you are coming to a place where you are ready to release it. If you're still wanting to hold on to it, it's not going to be as effective. But if you are in a place where you are ready to release it, I let go with grace and ease is a great affirmation that you can use when holding on to this oil. I let go with grace and ease. I'm not going to hold it tightly and let you pry it out of my hands. I'm just going to let it go. So we'll talk a minute about teenagers, okay, because this is a really good one if you have teenagers or young adults or anybody who might be in that phase of dealing with a lot of different types of emotions. So it's no secret that teens are emotional. We know we hit that puberty stage and like things just seem to go all over the place. There's lots of changes going on in their bodies. They're transitioning from childhood to adulthood, and they often struggle with that pull between still being dependent on their parents, but wanting to be independent, having that desire to do things on their own. Parents can also struggle with that pull as well, right? And so they might find themselves feeling overwhelmed by all of the emotional and the physical changes that they're experiencing. So release can help both the parent and the child when we're trying to communicate in an effective way about all of these life changes. And, you know, sometimes the relationship between parents and teenagers can just be really rocky because there is that struggle for wanting to go one way, but you're still parenting and they still need to have some restraints. And so giving teenagers tools at that age to learn how to release unwanted emotions, and this pertains to anybody at any age. Trust me, I know. Can really be helpful in creating an emotionally healthy teenager, which we unfortunately don't see a whole lot of those anymore in this day and age, because I think we've really gotten away from talking about our emotions and learning how to process them in a really healthy manner. So Movement can be used in various forms of intensity to work through or release different emotions. So many people can find like working out can really help with releasing that, like running or sports. They can be ways to kind of relieve that stress. Others find more relaxing movements like yoga to also be a great way to kind of start release feelings and cultivating a sense of peace. So diffusing this during a workout, again, like using this whole combination of oils that we're talking about tonight can be a great way to just help aid in the process, if you will. I'm really not sure the right word that I want to use there, but it can be a really great way to just help with the processing of emotions, especially heavy ones like anger and resentment or guilt or bitterness. Those are emotions, friend, that we do not want to be holding on to. So the next oil that we're going to touch on is Valor. This is one of my favorite oils. I love the smell of it. It's almost intoxicating for me. The smell of Valor is just, I love it. So with Valor, we inhale courage and we exhale fear. So Valor is an oil of courage. Courage is something that we need at every age and every stage of our lives, even when we're talking emotions, even when we're talking healing and forgiveness. It takes courage to step out into that and say, this is me, raw and vulnerable. I am frustrated. I am angry. I am bitter. I am resentful. I am ready to release. I am ready to start healing. You need courage to do that. That's why it has taken me years to actually start counseling, because I have been terrified of the things that I know, like you know your past, you know your mistakes, you know your encounters with other people, your interactions, you know your thoughts and your feelings. As much as sometimes you want to hide them and pretend that they're not there, you know what they are. And I know that by saying yes to counseling, it was going to force me to have to dig up those roots. And that, my friend, is scary. So, Valor. It's an easy, symbolic way for me to say I am inhaling courage right now and I am exhaling fear. I can do this. I put Valor in my diffuser. I put it on my wrist. It is an empowering and an uplifting fragrance. It only contains 5 oils: black spruce, camphor, blue tansy, frankincense, and geranium. But it is a powerhouse. If you find yourself dealing with a lot of anxiety, I encourage you to seek out Valor and begin using it on a regular basis. Okay? Because it is one that it will do wonders in your life. So let me see. We talked about harmony. We talked about forgiveness. We talked about inner child, present time, release, and Valor. So those are the 6 oils that are part of the feelings kit. Now, there's one other technique I would like to talk to you about. It does not use, it does use some of these oils. So there is a technique called an aroma freedom technique. This is done by a certified practitioner, which I am not. But it can be a very powerful process of recalling to mind emotions and instances in your past that may be triggering for you, that may be holding you back, that you need to release. It's actually a 12-step process. And if you are interested to know more about that, I'm not going to get into it now for the sake of time. Please private message me or drop a comment here, and I am happy to point you in the direction and get you more information about it. But there is one technique that stems from the aroma freedom technique, and it's called an aroma reset. And what that uses is 3 oils. And I keep them blended in this little dropper bottle. So I just put a label over my lavender so I know that this is the oil that I use for my blending. But this is Stress Away, Lavender, and Frankincense. If you started Young Living with a premium starter bundle, you have or had all three of those oils. If you did not, I would encourage you, if you are one who feels like you need a little bit of a reset on your emotions on a regular basis, because they tend to take over sometimes and maybe control you a little bit, and you would like to have more of a handle on them, get Lavender, Stress Away, and Frankincense. You combine those oils together in equal amounts, and however much you want to combine, or if you just have them all individually, you just put 1 drop of each in the palm of your hand. And what you do is, in 60 seconds, this technique can be done. So you rub your hands together and you cup them over your nose and your mouth. I don't like to blow out in my hands, so I open them. And you take 3 deep belly breaths, while bringing to mind a situation that is causing you frustration, or a situation that is causing you tension, or a situation that is causing you anxiety. You recall that situation to your mind, and you begin to breathe in these oils. And anytime you have a situation or a thought, okay, those thoughts, 9 times out of 10, elicit an emotion. And typically, because we store emotions in our body, you are going to feel that emotion somewhere. And for most people, so I did this at a teacher fair, like a health fair. It was in support of teachers on one of their in-service days. And the minute I asked them to think about a stressful situation in their classroom, maybe a particular student that might be a little bit frustrating, they all immediately thought of something. And I said, okay, now pick a one-word emotion that defines that or represents that thought that you have. And where do you feel it in their body? Most of the top 2 was chest tightness or in my neck. Okay. Once you have identified that, once you have your situation, you've identified your emotion, and you know where you're feeling it, you breathe these oils in deeply, and you breathe them into that place, into that emotion, and then you exhale and you release it. This is a simple but amazingly powerful technique that you can do with 3 very common oils that you may already have on hand, to help reset your emotions. And this can be done anytime. Keep these with you always. And even if it's just smelling them from the bottle, okay, that is enough. Some people will carry these in their pocketbook, in their purses, keep it in their car, whatever. But this is one of my favorite blends for emotions. And I got these little droppers from Amazon, blend them all together. I do 3 drops in the palm of my hand. And for some people, you will feel it. You will feel it leaving your body. It is absolutely incredible. But if you are interested in the 6 other oils that we talked about specifically, those all come in one kit from Young Living, and it's called the Feelings Kit. I think it's about $190, okay? But you're getting 6 oils, and you're saving like, I think they're like, I did the math at one point, like $250 or $260 if you were to buy all 6 of those oils individually. So anytime Young Living does a kit, they're usually bundling and saving you money. So that is one thing. You can go right to their website. You can search the Feelings Kit, and you can read the information that they have on there for you. Or you can just go out and you can grab yourself some lemon, lavender, and frankincense, combine those together, and use those on a regular basis. So I know, and I apologize that I didn't get to run this class the way that I wanted to, but I hope that you will come back to this, take notes. I'm going to get you a worksheet. It may not be tonight, it may be tomorrow, that you can download and print so that you can come back to this, take some notes. Don't just, if you are someone who knows that you are allowing past circumstances and negative emotions to hold you back, and you just continue to go about your business and you suppress those feelings and you work really hard to pretend they're not there, Could I invite you today, friend, to do something different? Could I invite you to grab your valor, inhale courage, exhale fear, and begin to walk forward in freedom? Freedom is not found easily. It is something that you have to work for to create. You have to be willing to step out of that comfort zone. You have to be willing to start chipping away brick by brick at the walls that you may have erected around your heart, at the walls that you may have built up between you and people in your life that have hurt you. But I promise you, friend, that freedom is available to you on the other side. And I would love to encourage you and be your advocate to reach out for help. If you need help, do not allow pride to keep you from getting the help that you need. Counseling is powerful. Oils are powerful. Prayer is powerful. Above all, Jesus is more powerful than all of those combined times 100. All right? Allow him to be your rock. Allow him to be your source. Allow him to be the refuge that you run to when it feels like everything else is crumbling and nothing that you're doing is working, because I promise you that is not true. God is always working on your behalf behind the scenes. And so I encourage you 100% to reach out to him first. Okay. So I hope that you gleaned some information from this class that was beneficial to you. I know this can be a very hard, heavy topic, something that a lot of us might not like to deal with. But I can attest to how necessary it is to face those emotions head on. And even as I say that, I can feel my chest tightening, because I know it is not easy. I am in it. I am in the trenches with you right now. But again, I am so incredibly grateful for the tools that we have, the people that God puts in our path, and the resources that he makes available to us, because he wants to see you healed. He wants to see you set free, and he is making that available to you today. So I pray a blessing over you, Lord Jesus. I pray every person watching this, I pray that you would speak to their heart right now, God. I pray that you would reveal areas of anger, bitterness, resentment, God, any negative emotions that they have been harboring that they need to release. I pray that you would wrap your arms around them. I pray that you would bring them a peace and a comfort that they have never experienced before. I pray that you would instill in them courage, because we know that you have not given us a spirit of fear. So anything that we fear, we know, God, is not from you, and we do not have to accept that. We do not have to allow ourselves to be bound by that. So I pray, God, that my friend who is watching this, who feels the tug on their heart to release, I pray, Lord Jesus, that you would equip them and you would empower them with your Holy Spirit. I pray that they would run to you. I pray that they would seek you, they would find you, and that you would open the door for them, prepare a way for them, God, to find and receive and experience and walk forward in the healing that you have made available to them because of the sacrifices of your Son, Jesus. I pray blessings upon blessings over every person watching this. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, friends, that's a wrap.